So I used to say that people in their 20s are still mentally in high school, but now I don't say that anymore. Now I say that people in their 20s are mentally in middle school. There's a lot of 28-year-olds out here who have the middle school mindset. They're not thinking like adults, they're thinking like middle schoolers. So what factors make up the middle school mindset? It all starts with having no goals. In my 20s, I've been amazed how many people just wander. They don't have any intention, any objective. They're just going through the motions, doing whatever. They have no plans at all. They just exist. A middle schooler who literally does not have a fully developed brain, they're not supposed to have a bunch of goals. They're supposed to just go to school and not really think about anything else. But the way people in their 20s who went to college go to a minimum wage job that they didn't go to college for, and then they go home and gamble all that money away, they don't have any goals. They don't have any objectives. They're just existing. They're not choosing to do the things they want to do every day. They're choosing to waste their time. A lot of people in their 20s have never actually made a decision for themselves. They didn't really have a say in whether they were going to go to high school or whether they were going to go to college. They were expected to graduate from high school, and their parents had the money to send them to college, so they were expected to go and they were expected to graduate. And then, once they graduated, they were just expected to get some random job that's associated with their degree. And the crazy thing is that a lot of people cannot get jobs in their degree field. They actually have good degrees and can't get jobs that pay them a real salary. And then every day they show up to a meaningless job where they're basically a glorified secretary and they're not really making any money. But instead of saving that money, they throw it all away. There's no thought process behind any of these behaviors. They're going to school because their parents told them to go to school. They're going to their job because they think society expects them to go to their job that they hate. And then they go home and gamble their salary away because they think society expects them to gamble their salary away. They're just doing what everyone does, just going with the flow, right? Following the group, just like an impressionable middle schooler. And on top of having no goals at all, another key component of the middle school mindset is no desire to be independent. There are actually 30-year-olds who have spent their entire lives living with their parents, and they have no desire to leave. They genuinely want to stay at their parents' house because the thought of being independent in the world by themselves with adult responsibilities, they find that insanely scary and overwhelming. And they don't want to do their own laundry. They don't want to vacuum their own floor. They don't want to cook their own food. They don't want to do these things. They don't want to be independent and in control. They want other people to do things for them and to make decisions for them. A lot of adults with the middle school mindset, they want to be able to blame other people when something goes wrong. They don't want to have to look in the mirror and say, I'm the one who came up short. They want to be able to point the finger and say, this adult was supposed to be the adult who was responsible for me, but they failed me. Like, bro, you're 28, dude. It's time to grow up. The reason adults with the middle school mindset don't want to be independent is because they find daily life flat out overwhelming. I've noticed that a lot of people my age are actually always uncomfortable. I first noticed this at college. There were some people who, if I was around them long enough, I realized that they actually were totally overwhelmed by basic conversation. With college kids who are overwhelmed, what happens is when people come up to them and initiate a conversation with them, they just kind of say whatever it takes to get through the conversation. And then when that person walks away, the person who was not wanting that conversation to happen, they turn around and they go, oh my God, did you hear what they just said to me? Wow, that was like so crazy, right? Like that was just so insane. Even though it was a totally normal conversation they should be able to handle, they found it completely overwhelming. And they would have this experience every single day. Even though having a 2-minute conversation with someone they don't know that well should be normal to them at 21 years old, they would still act like it was the craziest experience ever. And ultimately, these people would start out as freshmen who had friends. But over time, people realized, oh, these people don't actually put effort into conversations or maintaining friendships. And actually, when I'm not in the room, they talk about me like I'm some super mean person, even though I'm always nice to them. So those people end up with no friends. And they're seniors with no friends and no one hangs out with them. And their whole cope is, well, actually, everything's overwhelming. So in some ways, they got what they wish for, right? They think everything's overwhelming and they want everyone to go away. And that's what happens. They end up sitting at mommy and daddy's house at 28 with no friends. A middle schooler who has random adults coming up to them saying weird crap, who has kids in their grade who just completely lack empathy, kids in their grade who are super poorly behaved, saying dumb stuff, who has to go to extracurriculars they don't necessarily like, have to be around teachers they don't necessarily like. It's normal for a middle schooler to say, whoa, this is kind of all overwhelming. This person's kind of annoying. Why are they talking to me? I just want them to go away. That's normal for a middle schooler. It's not normal for a 28-year-old to do that, though. But what's crazy is nowadays, that specific trait, it's not even just people in their 20s who use their phone too much. It's people of all ages now. It's wild. With people in their 20s, another key component of the middle school mindset is having the same exact hobbies in day-to-day life as middle school. I know a lot of people who the easiest way to describe their life is it's high school, but instead of going to school at 8 a.m. and being done with school and their extracurriculars at 5 p.m., they go to work at 8 a.m. and they're done with work at 5 p.m. It's the same thing. And they go home to the same house. And those hours at home, when they're done from 6 to 10 p.m., they just do nothing. They don't do anything. Okay, not gonna lie. I just started laughing so hard that I had to take a 10-minute break from recording this commentary. I just started thinking about some of the people I know. A lot of them don't even work, so it's not even just 6 to 10 p.m. It's all day. They're just sitting in their living room, just staring at their phone. That's all they do. It's totally crazy. And when they're not staring at their phone, they're playing a video game that they played when they were 13. Oh my God, it's so wild. And the craziest part is a lot of these people I know in their late 20s, they've been doing this for well over half a decade now. So I don't really think anything's going to change. Their hobbies, their day-to-day life, it's middle school. And now, on to the last part of the middle school mindset, which is there are a lot of fully grown adults who have the middle school attitude of valuing a large group of people they don't know and going with the group over valuing their real friends. Of course, in middle school, people see this when they're hanging out with their friend and all of a sudden a random person comes up and their friend wants to impress that random person. So they start acting all weird in a way they wouldn't normally because they're valuing that other person. Or it's a big group and they're valuing that group over their actual friend. It's normal for a middle schooler who doesn't know what to prioritize, who doesn't understand how to be grateful for their friends, to code switch and be weird and start acting all weird when other people are around. But a fully grown adult not appreciating their friends and behaving all weird to impress someone they don't know, that's totally crazy that 28-year-olds are doing that. And the worst part is now that these people are adults, the loyalty is to their phone. These people value the opinion of the internet and what they see on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok more than they value the opinions of people they know. There are a lot of fully grown adults who, if they saw the internet roasting one of their friends, instead of defending their friend, they would just join in. And that is exactly what a middle schooler would do. The middle school mindset is a virus that's infected millions of people currently in their 20s. People in their 20s with the middle school mindset, if they don't develop any sort of goals or objectives, and if they don't start becoming grateful for their friends and their family and the situation they're in, they're going to stay like this forever. There's not going to be any change. It's going to be the middle school mindset their entire lives. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I will see you all in the next video.